Scott, I guess let's just talk about the St. Louis Blues then. It's kind of a neat thing that this is a team you faced less than 2 weeks ago. Is there a benefit to that at all in preparing for Game 1, having seen them so recently?
We saw them twice since Four Nations. I think it's 3 times since Monty's been coaching there. Sort of see their style of play and maybe the changes that they have made since the coaching change. It was great to run into them since they've been on a tear, since the Four Nations was completed. So lots of familiarity. Their team, a few pieces have changed over the years, but at the end of the day, they're a central opponent that we've seen a lot of, and we know how they go with their business. And like I said, 3 games playing against Monty as a head coach, we kind of got an idea how he wants to go about things.
Is it a myth or is it reality that there is so much adjusting that goes on in a playoff series compared to the regular season, but you also, I guess, want to stay true to what got you here?
Yeah, I think that adjustments start to happen as you kind of get into this series. I think that both teams are coming out and trying to get to their game plan, their style of play as fast as possible, which we will try to continue to do. And hopefully that they're the ones that have to adjust to us. But you just don't know how each and every game goes. It might be matchups that you're looking at. It might be D partners that are head to head against certain players. There are adjustments that you can make. Some are subtle, some are bigger, and that's kind of what playoff series are all about. That looking at those things and seeing if it's something that you want to do with your group at that time.
Yeah, just a question on Neal Pionk signed his deal. Just from your eyes, what is so valuable about having Neal on this team?
Yeah, you know what? He's extremely popular in our dressing room. He's one of our leaders. I know he doesn't have an A on his jersey, but he's one of those guys that has a strong voice in there, and just really excited that he's decided that he wants to, be a Winnipeg Jet for 6 more years. And I have a relationship that goes all the way back to New York with him, and just a real good person, real good teammate, player. He just had his first child here this past summer, and he likes Winnipeg and likes everything about it. So real happy when I was told that he was going to be signing.
What about his on ice? What do you like about his game?
Well, he's got an all-round game, which is when you have top 4 defensemen, you're playing against other teams' top players. He's on the penalty kill. He's on the power play. Gives us an offensive edge. He's got some bite to him. He also likes to get under the skin of the opposition. So he's one of those guys that's well-rounded and brings a lot to the table every game.
When you look back on the regular season, I know it's playoff questions only, but you said there's 3 segments, right? Before Christmas, and then from there to Four Nations, and Four Nations to what ended last night. It would seem like from the outside view that you guys defensively had gotten even better as the year went on. From this last third, did anything stick out to you in terms of how you guys were able to clamp down and kind of further execute your defensive style? Any progression that you can isolate?
There wasn't anything that we changed or did anything different, but the big thing for me is that the games after that, like I mentioned, after Four Nation, are now who's going to get in the playoffs, who's going to be seated in what position. We're still fighting for the Central at that time, and so your attention to detail, your defending, which we had always talked about from last year, the success we had with our defending last year, moving it into this year, that it was going to have to be a priority. But, us doing those things was, the team recognizes that's where our success comes from when we are, as a group, playing really well defensively. And, the other side of it, too, that I mentioned, to our group, that it didn't take away from our offense. I think we still ended up in 3rd for goals for, and I know that our power play is number 1, but at the end of the day, we didn't take away from our offensive side. We had the puck more, and it created more offense for us. And so that the buy-in that your top players, when they recognize that the puck's in their stick a lot more, that helps sells us playing without the puck like we do.
Scott, the full NHL playoff schedule came out today, and you see some teams, they're playing every other night. That's kind of how it goes. Yeah. You guys have a more unique schedule. I think there's 3 2-day breaks built in the first 5 games alone. What's your thoughts just on that schedule?
Yeah, I guess it can buy some time for your injured guys to get back. It also maybe, if you do get up in a series, you'd like it to happen a lot quicker. But it is what it is. It's the league. It's the start times are all crazy as well. They'll always be that way. Both buildings, are busy. So it is one of those obstacles that, it's both teams are facing it. You just got to make the most of it.
From a coach's perspective, what does home ice advantage mean, and how can you leverage that, whether it's extra nights in your own bed, game day routines, matchups? I mean, how can the Winnipeg Jets use what you've now earned, home ice, through the playoffs to your advantage?
Yeah, I think you mentioned a few there. Being in your own bed a few more nights, but matchups are certainly a big area come playoff times. The whiteout certainly is another kind of wave that kind of helps push us along. So you got it. I mean, it's funny though how there is pressure on the home teams when you do start this way, but at the end of the day, take advantage of it and feel comfortable with it. Then at the end of the day, it's get after game one and then take it from there.
Scott, you said the other night you guys have plans, whether it's a swarm, whether it's man-on-man, center release, whatever it's going to be. And it seems as though you spent most of that last game against St. Louis on the attack in the offensive zone, stuff their entry attempts, all that sort of stuff. Does having, I guess, this runway into a series instead of just one day between games in a regular season maybe give you even more confidence in your preparation and its ability to help you in the series?
Yeah, I think that, if you can, if you can zoom in on some specific areas, and we've done a good job all year. Coaches have done a fantastic job of the preparation, whether that's specialty teams or 5-on-5, and trying to maybe find those little cracks that St. Louis might have that we're going to try to attack. The other night against Anaheim, we knew how good of a rush team they were, and playing back-to-back games, flying in here from Mini, that we wanted to attack them and wanted them to play in their ranks. So that was the plan was there, and we executed it real well. But when it comes to these playoff series, there are areas that, as a kind of, we have a plan and an idea that we want to do against St. Louis going into game one that may shift a little bit in games 2 and 3 or 4. It depends kind of how things go. That's part of the adjustments they're going to make to us too. So, it's kind of the game within the game. And, when it comes to offensively or defensively, you're always looking at things that may have to be adjusted somewhat. But I'm not a big believer in, turn around and overhauling and doing something drastically different that we haven't done all year.
In terms of matchups, I think partway through the year they split up Kyrou and Thomas, which kind of creates a different look for them. And I know that your matchups in that most recent home game, there were some pretty concerted ones both on forwards and D. How does the Montgomery-led Blues sort of change what you have to do in that front?
Well, obviously we'll see how that works itself. I think that's been a big, with Kyrou being with Shen, that's, and then Bushnevich and Thomas, like that's two heavy lines of offense, and then they throw the Snuggerud kid in there, and pretty talented kid too. So, it's just, I think that there's always, situation in games where you may not be out on the matchup that, maybe I'm looking for. So it's your responsibility to make sure that, you defend the right way or take advantage of the situation that you're in. If you're a top player and you're going against the other team's 5th and 6th defenseman, if you're our 4th line and you're out against Thomas or Shen's line, that you have responsibility. And that's where our group has been really good this year. And I'm not really, I'm not caught up in that if I don't get it, because it's going to happen on the road. If I don't get the matchup, I'm not concerned about it, because I have confidence in all the lines doing what they have to do against whoever's on the ice for St. Louis.
The game can get more rugged this time of year, typically does. How much better built do you feel you are? Or don't you think that was part of your downfall last season?
No, I think I think that we're a big, heavy team. It's amazing how many coaches say to me, I can't believe how big you guys are. Sometimes I say that about the other team too, but it's just, but we are. I think adding Luke and Tanny at the end added more to that grit style of play, and that's the games aren't fancy and wide open in the playoffs. They're tight and they're heavy, and we like to feel that we're built for that. We've gone into the games this year at different points of the season where we've ran into those games that are heavy, and our response has been really good.
Was that part of the downfall last playoffs, did you think? Or
last year's last year. Last year's last year. Yeah. This is this year.
I wanted to ask you about the starting goalies in this series. I mean, both of them had the spotlight at the Four Nations, and Binnington came out on top, and it's been really riding hot since then. I mean, how would you describe the matchup and what each of them gives their team.
Well, yeah. First with St. Louis, Binnington's been in this league. He's won a Stanley Cup. He's obviously the Four Nations. His spectacular play there. At the end of the day, they've been on a run, and he's been a big part of it, obviously. And he's experienced at this time of year. And on the other side with Helly, that Four Nations was a great opportunity for him to go head to head, not only against Binnington, but against the other goalies from the other nations, and be in pressure situations, much like playoff games. And those are all the kind of the learning things for him to, like I mentioned, to KC and JMO, and for those guys to be able to go through those experiences was big. And for Helly, he's again proven how great of a goaltender he is. And now I know it has a little sideline to it. Those two head to head, and you know what? It's just like the matchups like we talked about, our top line against their top line, or our checkers against their checkers, or whatever it might be. This is two guys going head to head, and and hoping that our goaltender comes out on top over their goaltender.
Staying with Hellebuyck, Scott, ballots are due tomorrow. Did you think it was a heart-worthy season for him?
Without a doubt. He certainly should be in that conversation for the numbers that he's thrown up this year, the different things that he's done to put himself in the not only Winnipeg Jets record book, but some league ones too. And back-to-back Jennings, back-to-back, we'll see, back-to-back Vezina. But at the end of the day, he's if you the meaning of MVP or that trophy, he's an awful lot. He checks an awful lot of those boxes for us.
Skating in today, or?
Yep.